Be strong with your beliefs.
The UFO field of, paranormal and that sort of stuff, and kind of really making a culty business out of it.
Quite honestly, religion is just a really strong word of belief system.
Yes.
But if we were really to grow humanity as a species, that belief systems are something that we need to question all the time. There's not just one. Mm-hmm. A long time ago, that became a system of controlling a state, a country. But I feel like we're all too smart for that. No matter where you are listening from this, if you're in another country, if you're in the United States, we're too smart for that. It's a belief system. You need to be bigger than the belief system. So if you believe in UFOs and you believe in Catholicism and you believe in Mormonism, great. It should not depict every moment of your life and everything that you do. You should be curious all the time.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Nice. That was a good exclamation point for her speech. Well done, O'Connor.
I second that.
Someone is no longer drinking my classy-ass wine.
Well, what do you think about this? This quote from the article, and I sort of keep quoting stuff, but I thought it was pretty fascinating.
It's good.
But it reminded me of a lot of Stephen Greer stuff. What do you think of this? So she says, this sense of diminished possibility is what makes Silicon Valley's appropriation of UFO culture somehow spiritually offensive. UFOs have always promised a bigger and fuller world. The possibility that something strange, transformative, and possibly sexual can happen to you in the sky. But now tech billionaires plan for their own transcendence while denying it from the rest of us. As real and online spaces continue to collapse into one another, our social and political lives are further absorbed by social media. And then they go on to say, they talk about, like I said before, the bankers and the big, huge billionaires and stuff buying bunkers and stuff in I think it was New Zealand.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I mean, if
Australia.
you wanted to survive the
Australia.
apocalypse, New Zealand's, the hobbits had it right.
Yeah, the
They
Shire
knew what
is
was
there.
going on. Yeah. But then she ends it off with, all the rest of us can do, perhaps, is wait to be abducted and pray that whatever takes us believes we're worth saving.
Ooh.
I think
That's harsh.
That's harsh. It's cleverly worded. It's a good writer writing something with a poignant angle, but I just couldn't disagree more about it. It was really well written.
Like I said, when I was reading the book, I was into it and I was super interested, and I thought what this person was into was fascinating and good for him. And like you said, what if he tried to share it with the world and everyone just shut him down for being a lunatic? And it's all right, well.
Dude, what would a billionaire do? If you had a lot of money and you're enlightened and you're not just ignorant as fuck and you make a lot of money off some stupid... That's what you would do. All those guys. That,
Bigelow comes to mind as well.
Brett Bigelow. He helped ATIP. He was part of that program.
But he needed time to get evidence. He needed time to build people around him to create a bunch of people that believed in what he was doing.
Yeah. Well, there's this person, Emily, who wrote the... Emily Harnett, who wrote the article.
Emily.
I just wanted to get her name right. Fuck Emily. We'll cut that out.
Totally leaving it.
But yeah,
It'd be fun if we never cut anything out.
You could tell all the way through the article she wasn't buying any of this. She wasn't on board for any of it.
But I totally agree with Josh. There's just people that are good at being critics. They're not really good at anything, but being critics.
Right.
Hey, you go to, did you see her dress at the awards? It was terrible. Okay, your fat ass wasn't at the awards. You just watched it on E! Entertainment.
Right.
It's that kind of thing. It's just some people are really good at just being the critic. But, as I said before, it's good to question everything. But just because somebody writes a bad review doesn't think you should think a book is bad.
No, absolutely not.
I think
just thought it was an interesting angle. And
somebody who exists, you should just question everything.
Right. Like I said, she wasn't buying any of it. She wasn't on board for anything this person
She had an agenda from when she started.
Yeah, she had an agenda. Yeah, absolutely. She has her own point of view, and that's fine. But
and we respect that.
We respect that.
We sure do.
There's one quick story I want to tell.
Okay.
If you guys ever heard of Ray Hernandez, he's in the book American Cosmic. So Ray Hernandez is a tax assessor who went to Berkeley, lives in Florida, I think. And he had a dog that was dying, and it was paralyzed. His wife was very Catholic, Mexican, religious, and he was not religious, but just whatever. And they prayed for their dog. Well, she did at least. And then one night, her wife wakes up, and wakes him up. Is like, hey, there's a light. There's a miracle's happening. A miracle's happening. And he runs downstairs. She describes it as a light. He describes it as a little disc that is floating in the air. And their dog that was paralyzed was miraculously healed and started running around. And he was, but it gets weird. It's high strangeness. He just walked back upstairs. He was like, cool. Walked upstairs, went to bed. Wife was up all night. It's a story like that where like things happen, but then he passed out. He woke up and was like, what the hell? And his wife was like, what are you doing? Oh my God, the dog,
Yeah,
the dog.
that's a common phenomenon that happens with a lot of abduction things where something crazy will happen, and for whatever reason, the person who's experiencing it will just be like, huh, I'm gonna go back to sleep now. And it's almost like a mind control thing.
It's a mind control thing.
Yeah.
It's weird. They're obviously
Really?
affecting the situation. But here's what's crazy about it is she thought it was angels. He was like, I don't know. I saw a weird little tiny ship. Imagine seeing like a tiny UFO in your living room, and your dog's like can't even get up, like just like dead on the ground, and suddenly it's like pouncing around. The dog was like a small dog again, like all full of energy. But the preceding days, him and his wife witnessed giant UFOs outside their house. Like, remember, like weird things, like in their dream, like I have to go outside now, and they go outside, and the giant UFO there.
Yes.
And then also, like, people show up, and they're like, oh, it's a giant UFO. And they're like, yeah, it's a giant UFO. And they just get in their car, and they take off, and don't remember it. Really bizarre stuff. So Ray, this is what's crazy about it. He had these situations. His wife thought it was angels. He thought it was UFOs, but wasn't sure. He wasn't really sure. He went on to meet Edgar Mitchell, and ended up like starting his foundation for the study of extraterrestrials. He's run a bunch of large-scale studies on people.
That got Ray?
Ray did, yeah.
No way.
So it led to that. So it transformed his life completely. He went from tax assessor,
Are you
like
serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So think about it. He maybe not all the details are there, but one of the big details is it has a wild transformation in your life after you have an experience. So Ray Hernandez, he's my new boy. He's awesome.
Edgar Mitchell is a really interesting guy. We can talk about this in another podcast, but I've interviewed him before. Very interesting.
And what he's some
you-
sort of
he's an
military guy.
astronaut.
You sat down with that guy?
Yes, I interviewed him for Ancient Aliens.
What did he say? Give me some details.
He had a profound experience that changed his life, which I know is in his books and stuff, whatever's out there. He was on the surface of the moon. He was the last person to be on the surface.
Oh, that Edgar Mitchell.
Yes.
Astronaut Edgar Mitchell.
No,
to
I'm
be
caught up
clear.
now. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on board. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Good. Too many drinks for you.
Yeah, sorry. I spaced out there for a little pun intended.
He felt this profound experience that everything was connected at that moment, like space, people, and like everything was connected. It was this massive field. He felt it. He was it. I don't even think his words could comprehend what he was feeling when he was speaking. Mm-hmm. And he knew that he had to come back and speak that. It wasn't that he saw an alien or anything like that. He just knew that there was so much life out there, so many dimensions of life. There was in everything. We were all connected to it. We think we're isolated. We think we're isolated from
He had a
plants.
psychedelic moment.
We think we're isolated from animals. We think we're isolated from aliens and angels and all this kind of stuff. But that wasn't true. And he felt it on such a level that he came back and he's like, this is going to be my mission.
Profound connection.
Wow.
With
Yeah.
Wow.
But I've heard that. I interviewed another astronaut a couple years later when I was doing a NASA show. And I'm just blanking on the name of the guy. But he spent 6 months in the space station up there, the European space station that's up there, just maintaining things. And you start to go insane because you're not connected to humanity anymore. There's no coffee shops. There's no walking on a sidewalk. There's no existence of other people or plants or anything with Earth, right? You just have some people that are in the same space station with you. So he would literally count every day, and he would count the minutes of the day, like so he wouldn't go crazy.
Really?
Because this is part of your training, is that when you start to feel the disconnect, you need to like count hours and days and all that kind of stuff.
Whoa, so they all experience that.
They all experience it, and it's such a disconnect. And he remembers, like every morning, he would wake up and he would put the earth underneath his thumb, and he would think, nothing that happens to me when I get back means anything.
Now, did he say the Earth was flat when he saw it, or just checking?
He didn't.
Checking for a friend.
He didn't. He did not say that it was flat. It seemed to have
cool.
rounded edges.
Good to know.
He did say Australians aren't real. So
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
Well, we're all just a bunch of actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
No, I should have asked him that. God, what was I thinking?
Oh, you blew that interview.
Yeah.
Go on.
You know, he didn't go on to create a foundation like Edgar Mitchell did with this guy, which is fascinating. But he came back and completely changed his life. Like, he became almost like an inspiration because he like, it didn't matter. Like, nothing matters. Like, absolutely nothing matters. It's just drama. It's just what it is.
Huh.
Because if you can literally sit and put it underneath your thumb every day that you wake up in the morning, that like all that matters is that you can get back there.
Right.
You can experience what it's like to have somebody angry with you and sad with you and love you and all those things. That's
Man,
all
that's
that
like
matters.
a whole new level of homesick that you couldn't even imagine. Wow.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Quick side tangent. Ray Hernandez, one of the things that they studied, they took these large scale, like, what do you call polls with people who've had abduction experiences. And a high majority of them, I don't have the number in front of me, most of them are humans. So when they have an abduction experience and they recall it, it's humans. And weird things like this. Not like, oh, I was taking a spaceship and someone, butt probed me. It was, they took me to a ball game and they asked me how to behave properly when a home run happened. And they told me how to order a beer
That's
and how to walk around. And they looked 100% human.
Right.
That's from their studies. I have to go deeper into it.
So you're getting into Stephen Jacobs? Is that his name? He wrote a bunch of books, a couple of books about this very subversive takeover that he believes was happening. But it was like alien hybrids who were being sort of subversively inserted into society all over the place, and they were abducting people and trying to learn from them how to fit in with the rest of human society. There was a lot
I've
of
met
stuff.
these people.
Yeah. But it's
That makes
super
total
creepy.
sense.
Yeah.
It's really creepy. It's
Wow.
yeah, it was like very dark book. Same thing where there was someone remembers getting abducted and just being sitting in his living room with this person who looked human enough but wanted to know how to set up a living room. Had all this like IKEA furniture, like really nice furniture. I said IKEA, but whatever. Sitting all around the room.
What's
And it
feng
was
shui?
like, okay, now where does the TV go? Oh, it goes in front of the couch. And he was just like this in the spaced out kind of agreeable sort of, again, like this mind control kind of thing. And
is
all this
really
person wanted to know
creepy.
was how an apartment should look for humans. Yeah. And it was like a lot of stories like that. Same sort of thing. How am I supposed to act in this situation? What is this supposed to look like? And yeah, it was whatever that
That's the
is
stuff
leading
that
to is
terrifies me,
something
but
really
makes me
dark.
feel good. I love stories like that.
It's exciting,
Great
but
that every time you meet somebody, you have a dial of like, that person's weird, right? It's not like it depends how far you're deep into the quote unquote space, but
Right.
you meet somebody and you're like, there's something off with that person. I know their place was great and they're really nice and they offered really nice wine, but there's just something weird.
Right. They weren't wearing
Maybe
pants.
those are those people. They're like taking somebody in a dream state and they're like using their consciousness to figure out an issue they have because they're not human.
Oh, sorry, that
Exactly
guy's
why.
name was David Jacobs. I think I said Stephen.
Yeah, I know David Jacobs. Yeah.
So I think like we started with this Navy, ahoy, UFOs, right? The thought that the Navy was going to create these guidelines and pilots could openly report UFOs. But then it goes back to my question: is disclosure really up to the government or is it up to the people? We just had a whole discussion about how people decide the narrative of the world. I mean, about the belief of a system, about religion, about beliefs in general. I mean, so should we be waiting for a government official to say, oh, yeah, UFOs are real? Or do we decide as a group that UFOs are real and we wait for the government to say exactly what we want them to say?
Yes, the latter.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people need that evidence, which I feel like the government is kind of a gatekeeper for, before they can actually dive on board and say, yeah. But I think, yeah, as a society, particularly in Western culture, I don't know with the rest of the world, but there is
They're
kind of a turning towards people being more accepting of
Yeah, because
strange shit.
what is the government, though? It's just a reflection of current times. They're like
Yes.
the reflection of us. They might
Right.
control it. We might give them power. Like, they control us. But really,
But
they're
they
just a
don't.
symptom of our current, like, psychosis.
Right.